Oh, welcome back, dudes. Lady dudes. Just Nuts here, John, no Alan, another Yu-Gi-Oh video. And today I'm looking at the new TG support cards that have been recently announced. And I guess some people have been really excited about. I don't know, TGs have always never really been an archetype that's been too on my radar. But I think some of these support cards are pretty good. Especially for like what TGs are or were before the support. But yeah, I just want to go over them, give my thoughts on what these cards do to like TGs and where they kind of feel like they stand after this support comes out. But yeah, let's get started. I think we do them in order. I think that's the best way, and I think this is the right order. I think these two got announced first, then this one, then this one today. But so the first one is Tech Genus Screw Serpent. This guy right here. It's a 1300 attack, 500 defense, level 4 Aqua Sea Serpent monster. Water Sea Serpent monster. And both of its effects are hard once per turn. The first one says, if this card is normal or special summoned, target one level 4 lore TG monster in your graveyard except itself, and special summon it, but its effects are negated. Okay. Quick little monster to the field, like that. Kind of like a Blizzard of the Far North for Black Wings. Pretty almost the same effect. Then the second one says, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one TG monster you control and have it either gain or lose one level until the end of the turn. And that comes up because this is a synchro-based deck, so that's actually pretty nice. That could definitely be an important part of the combo, being able to go into any, because this thing, so that really does help you with the variability and what kind of synchro monsters you can summon. Be it, 7, 8, 9 or 5, 6, 7, depending on the monsters you're using, but that's pretty cool. I think that's a pretty cool, nice little effect on there, especially for a synchro deck. That could be huge because there are some really powerful synchro monsters. Like, I don't really know too much about this deck, but maybe this deck struggles to make synchro level 8s, and this makes like Scarlight way more possible. Who knows? I don't really know, but I think they can definitely come up. But yeah, pretty solid card overall. It doesn't special summon itself. It just says when it's normal or special, and you get to the special summon. So that's the only thing, is it does kind of take a normal summon unless you have a way to summon it otherwise. But then we have this Link 3. This is a Link monster for the deck. We have TG Trident Launcher. It's a Link 3 Earth Machine, Link effect monster, 2200 attack, so decent there. With the bottom left, bottom right, pretty like the best arrows you really could hope for out of a Link 3. And he says the first effect is a hard once per turn. And the materials are 2 effect monsters, including a tuner monster. 2+ effect monsters, including a tuner, a TG tuner specifically. So as long as there's a TG tuner in there, the rest of the monsters just need to be effect monsters. So fairly generic. And this card says, if this card is Link summoned, you can special summon 3 TG monsters, 1 each from your hand, deck, and graveyard to your zones this card points to in defense position. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except for TG monsters. And the second effect is your opponent cannot target TG synchro monsters this card points to with card effects. Okay. And then like a little protection effect right at the end. Nothing crazy on that protection effect, but it's better that it's there than it not being there at all. So this card, so I think an inherent problem with this card is that this archetype is very, very power crept, and the engine does not do, it just does what it does way too slow. So I feel like rather than giving them a power card like this, it would have been more helpful to give them more like spammable cards to get them in, like, who knows, maybe like a Link 2 where it like helps them, and if they got a Link 2 and this card, and Link 2 helps them get to this faster, then maybe we're looking at something. But I feel like this just does not. I just feel like TGs don't spam the board fast enough to make this like turn 1. And then at that point, you're probably losing the duel even with whatever you special summon. So I think it's powerful, and if you can get it off, it can be huge, obviously. Obviously, it can be huge, but I think it's a little too hefty a price. And, like, if this was a Link 2, it'd be too insane. Special Summoning 3 off of a Link 2, that'd be too insane. So if they made an effect this powerful, they had to make it a Link 3. But maybe they would have been better off making just, like, an engine card, a card that helps them generate more resources, because that's kind of where TGs get power crept. But not a bad card. I just think it's kind of iffy to make. If you make it, you could probably be in a good spot. But if you can't make it, what did TGs do otherwise? So then let's go. So that's the first two. Pretty solid, I think, overall. I mean, it's still a support is support, and I feel like a lot of people get confused when they see support, or not confused. They get confused on like Konami's goal. They always see support and they're like, damn, like that support's like okay, but it doesn't make my favorite old deck tier 1 again. I'm like, yeah, and I think that's on purpose. I think Konami recognizes that a lot of these decks had their heyday at one point or another, and they don't really want another heyday. They want them to be playable for those people that are nostalgic about their favorite old decks, and they want them to be playable in the current confines of Yu-Gi-Oh, but they don't want them to be tier 1 again. They leave it at, they had their time was great, but their time is over, but we still respect that you love this deck, so we're going to give you some cards that make them at least playable in the current confines of Yu-Gi-Oh. So I think that's where a lot of people get confused. Not confused, but like they misinterpret, I think, Konami's like intended purpose for a lot of these support cards for like any of the new archetype, or a support for older archetypes. Anyway, let's move to TG Booster Raptor. It's a level 1 wind dinosaur effect monster. Attack 400, defense 300. You can only special summon this card once per turn with the first effect of this card's name. Plain and simply, if you control a TG monster, special summon this card from your hand. Exactly what the deck needs. If you're going to have a Link 3 like that, you need monsters like this guy that can help you put 3 on the board. Because if you can put 3 on the board, you have a play. So I think this card is really good, especially like after knowing what that Link 3 does. And then once per turn during the end phase, if this card is in the graveyard because it was destroyed on the field and sent there this turn, add a TG monster from your deck to your hand. So that classic like TG adding clause. So I think this card is solid. This is exactly what they need, a little like turbo card to help them make this Link 3. I still think if they get a Link 2, it could actually do something for the deck. Because Link 2, like with this card, you play this. If you have a Link 2 that's like powerful, you just play this card at 3, and then you can almost make that like anytime you draw this card. But what do I know? Not a lot about this archetype. And then the last card that got revealed today is a new synchro card, TG Star Guardian. It's a level 5 light warrior synchro tuner effect monster. 100 attack, 2200 defense, so weird stat line for sure. It takes 1 tuner and 1+ non-tuner TG monsters, so pretty generic actually. The non-tuners need to be TG, but the tuner does not, so maybe that could come up, who knows. You can only use the first and second effects of this card's name each once per turn. Okay. The first effect says if this card is special summoned, you can target a TG monster in your graveyard, add it to the hand. Okay. Little recursion effect there. Second effect says during your main phase, you can special summon 1 TG monster from your hand. Okay, now we're talking. Get something back to your hand and then special it right out. I don't know why they wouldn't just make an effect that says special summon from the graveyard, but I guess this effect is better because you might want to add something back to, because if you were to use like Booster Raptor to summon, he's a hard once per turn. So maybe you add Booster Raptor for next turn and you have like another TG in hand that you want to summon that off of that effect and save the Booster Raptor as a turbo card for next turn. Just a thought. And then the third effect says once per chain during your opponent's main phase, you can quick effect immediately after this effect resolves, synchro summon using this card you control. All right, so like a TG Wonder Magician type effect to get out like the bigger cards that can disrupt your opponent a little more. Very cool. I think this card definitely has a place. I believe Wonder Magician's also level 5, but this guy extends. This guy actually like extends, whereas Wonder Magician doesn't. Like I guess it extends, but it's mostly used for its like quick effect synchro abilities, if I'm not mistaken. I think I have a bunch of stuff up here, and then I have like I brought up all the other TG support card like stuff. Like this card's like so lofty. You need a tuner synchro and a non-tuner synchro. So like too hard to make. This card is iffy. It takes up so many resources in your hand. You don't really plus. This card's terrible. This card's terrible. This card's okay. TG Striker's okay going second. TG Rush Rhino. See, the problem is they all get their searches when they're destroyed. These are like terrible Gokis. Because Gokis just get their searches when they are sent. So you can just link them away and just add all day. These guys need to be destroyed. So you need like your opponent to destroy them. And then at that point the deck's just way too slow. Let's see. Let's look at her. It's like when spell or trap on the field to destroy it. When this card on the field is destroyed, draw a card during your opponent's main phase synchro summon. Yeah, so like she's mostly used as a synchro summon on your opponent's turn. Then we have Catapult Dragon. Oh, this card's actually not that bad for like spamming the board. You might play this card just to help get the monsters out you need for that Link 3. Once per turn, special summon a level 3 or lower TG 200 monster from your hand. So I think the support definitely helps the deck. I think these support help the deck. I think all 4 of them help the deck, for sure. I think you play all. I think you'd end up playing all 4, at least compared to like what you were playing before. I think if this is all the support they get, I don't think it'll help TGs that much to really be that relevant. Even as a rogue deck, this deck still seems really iffy. But who knows? I mean, maybe there definitely could be more support coming out. There's only 4 cards. You know what I mean? If they're really trying to support TGs in Savage Strike, there could be 10 support cards. So we will see where TGs end up and what kind of new support comes out. And I'll definitely be keeping up and trying to cover it. But I think for now the deck is still kind of lacking too much. It's still waiting on too much. That it's not enough so far. Hopefully there's more in the future, because I love seeing all decks become more. Like, why not just be relevant? It doesn't have to be great, but why not be relevant? Because I think that just helps build a more fun just metagame. If there's like a ton of rogue decks going on, I think it's just a more fun metagame. You just see all these interesting decks all over the place, and people aren't just playing cards in their side deck just to kill the #1 deck in the game. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I'm going to leave it today, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, subscribe for more, because I'm doing these videos. I'm doing multiple Yu-Gi-Oh videos a week. I'm definitely staying on this grind. I'm going to be pumping out some Yu-Gi-Oh content. So stay tuned for that. I'm probably going to try to have a couple of deck profiles coming up. Going to try and show off my Ninja deck profile. I have a friend with a sort of interesting Trickstar deck profile. I know he wants to do one, so try and work on that as well. So I don't know, get excited for that. Thank you so much for watching, and fucking enjoy this motherfucking Wednesday. It's a good Wednesday. It's a really good Wednesday.